everybody, this is Reina. Today I'm going to do the second attempt of making an English version of Japanese video. This is the first video I uploaded on YouTube. I made it long time ago for one of the students who was, struggling with improving his listening skills. So I'm not sure it will work for everybody or not. So this is my take on how, people could, improve their listening skills. All right. But first thing first, like learning Japanese is really difficult in a way if you are an English speaker because grammar is all backwards, right? So as long as you are thinking in English when you're speaking Japanese, that's gonna give you a really, it's gonna be a big problem when you're listening, like a TV or a conversation. So yeah, I'm not gonna go into that because it's gonna be a little bit different when you are tackling this problem. So just leave it. I'm gonna talk about that some other time. What covered in that video in Japanese was number 1. Okay. A lot of people tend to lose the conversation or the flow of the conversation whenever they hear some word that they don't understand and go, "Ooh, I don't understand that word," and then they freeze for a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds, and by the time they come back to reality, the topic's already done or they are talking about something else. So that's why it is really difficult to understand what's going on in a conversation. So you know what, even if you realize that you don't know that word, or even if you think about what the meaning of the word, you wouldn't know anyways, because you don't know that word. So forget about it, so you have to basically get used to ignoring some words that you don't know. Otherwise you can keep listening to the conversation. Of course you can politely or get the timing right and say time out, and then ask the speaker what the word mean and stuff, right? But it is really better idea to actually stuck with the word you don't understand. Yeah, so get used to it, just ignore those words. Sometimes even if you don't know that one word, and you can actually understand what's going on in the whole picture. Good. Number 1 is try not to get shocked by the word you don't understand. Ignore it. 2, try not to listen to what word by word, because by doing so, what you're doing is training your ear to pick word. You're basically trying to improve a vocabulary, building a vocabulary instead of training your ears or try to understand the whole story. So try not to pick one word by word. Don't pick each word in a sentence because that's not gonna help. Because of course, like for example, when you're speaking your own language and communicating with your friends, you are not listening to each words, right? You're just picking the important word and then try to see whole picture. So that's exactly what you gotta do when you're learning some other language. That's number 2. Number 3. This is the pronunciation thing. If you are creating a sound totally different from the actual sound, then of course you're gonna have a problem picking that word. For example, in this video I was talking about one of the students I had. That word was fraud, F-R-A-U-D, but he actually remembered that word as a fraud. And we were watching Catch Me If You Can together, and then there is a word of fraud everywhere, right? But he couldn't get it until the last minute. There is a description of what this guy actually did after he got arrested and stuff. There's F-R-A-U-D, and he goes, "Oh, I know that word, that's fraud, isn't it?" So he remembered as a fraud, but it is read fraud. So as long as you are actually creating a different sound, it's really gonna be really hard for you to pick that word or sentence. So it's good to create the sound as close as possible to that specific language. Like for example, like a konnichiwa, that's how Japanese say, but if you say konnichiwa, and it's totally different, right? So maybe some people have a difficulty picking that sound because it's different. You know what I mean, don't ya? Yeah. And of course the linking too, like the same thing as in English. There is a couple of words connected together and they create this sound, right? And of course we have that in Japanese too, and it's probably some other language too. So unless you are used to those linking in a word or language, it is really very difficult to understand or learn, or try to understand what the story is about. So it's a good idea to familiarize with those linking sound when you're learning language. Good. And number 5, Oh yeah, when you're listening to radio that you can't see the face, then you only have to rely on the ears and stuff. But when you're watching movies or TV, forget about trying to pick the word and stuff. Just relax and look how they are reacting or how they are acting, and then look at their facial expressions, and then try to use more imagination to understand what's going on. You know what I mean? Don't just rely on the words. Sometimes you can feel it, what's going on, right? You know? Yeah, so these are the 5 things I was talking about. This is how I improved it. I use movies and TVs and stuff. Yeah, people actually suggest to watch different movie, as many as possible, but I don't do that. I actually recommend stick to one and try to listen to it, like watch it like at least like 10-20 times. Of course it's better to go more, you know, instead of going through 10 different movies only watching one time. Stick with one movie and watch 10 times. You know, you can learn more that way. And maybe some people have different ideas, so you know, just take it as my take on this. Okay, number 2, and when you're listening or watching a movie, try not to focus all the time like this. Because sometimes students say, oh, should I watch it? Like really watch it? And I say, no. When you are cooking, run it. You know, when you're reading, run it. You know, run the movie. Or when you're doing something, you know, run the movie. So, you know, it's not like you have to focus all the time. Because if you are focusing on the movie all the time, then unless you're focused, you cannot understand the story or conversation. You know, that is kind of tiring. So in order to make your ear trained, you have to do something else, and naturally the language comes into your brain and then understand. That's actually a better way of training your ears. Yeah. And the movies can be used for different purposes, like for example building vocabulary, try to get what the story is about, you know, overall, you know. And number 3, like sounding, pronunciation and whatnot. But you cannot do whole thing, like all of them all at once. So you know, you can use a movie like from here to here for 10 minutes. I'm going to use it for vocabulary, and the next 15 minutes will be for the comprehension, and next 15 minutes for the pronunciation. You know, just to try different target for the different segment of the movie. That might be good. That, you know, and you can actually get the Kanji Wall, you know, conversation skills from the movie. So it's really practical, and it's really helpful. Yeah. And this is a really good one. If you have someone like actors or actress you like, try to mimic as much as possible, because that will help you you know, practice your speaking a little bit more. So, but you know, by repeating so many times, and you are training your ears as well, and by repeating, you're actually listening to your own sound as well. And this is something that a lot of people miss. You have to listen to your sound, yeah, you know, when you're speaking. And you know, so don't forget to do that. And actually I forgot one thing. Yeah, okay, when you're listening to TV or whatever, okay, don't try to go into detail too much first. You know, first just try to get what's the overall story of the news or story, and then right after that you can go into 5W1H thing: what, where, who, why, where, when, those ones, and how, right? Yeah. And then start, you know, picking details, you know, each time you listen to it, because a lot of people try to understand everything all at once, and then that actually gives you pressure, and then basically, you know, screws everything. So just relax. You know, if you can understand overall, like a, you know, general idea of the story, that's really great. And the next step is when, you know, who kind of way is the best way to go. Yeah, because this is like maybe this is like a Japanese style thing, because Japanese always try to understand every single details at a first try, and then they try to follow the textbook when they learn the language. But maybe that's why they have a problem like this. But yeah, this is the advice I was sharing, and then that's the what first video was about. I hope it made sense to you guys. If any of you can use, you know, my advice, that gonna be awesome. It is not advice, like a tip in a way, I guess. But anyways, yeah, this is a second attempt. I'm actually really nervous doing this all the time, because I'm usually winging it when I'm making videos. So it is really difficult to, you know, create something that already have recorded. I hope you understand, you know, what I'm going through right now. I'm a little bit nervous. But anyways, thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.